In this video, we're going to talk about something called the determinant of a matrix, and more specifically, the determinant of a 2 by 2 matrix. Now, firstly, consider you've got a triangle, and we can draw the triangle as such. So the vertical component's in blue, the horizontal is in red, and finally, we've got this hypotenuse here. So the hypotenuse here is in red. Now, when we look at this sort of system, we can see that we've got an x, not an x, we've got a y value, and we've got an x value. And the way in which we can explain this value of h here is by saying, using Pythagoras' theorem of c squared equals a squared plus b squared, we know that c squared, or c, is going to be the square root of x squared plus y squared. And we might call this we could refer to this as, say, the magnitude. So the magnitude of this particular triangle. So h is equal to the magnitude. Now just quickly fix that up and turn it into a, that's better, so an h. So what we're looking at here, or the way in which this stuff over here relates to the matrices here, consider we've got a 2 by 2 matrix and we want to find the magnitude, or say the hypotenuse of this matrix. What we can say is we can say the magnitude of A is equal to A11, A21, A12, and A22. And the way in which we can evaluate this sort of expression is we can say magnitude of A is, and I'll write it out as A11 times A22 minus A21 times A12. So pretty much these terms here, or this term here, it is the product of these two guys here. So we multiply these two guys together, and then this guy here, it is the product of this multiplied by this as such. So notice how it all fits together in this fashion. Now going on to something a little bit more concrete, consider down here we've got two expressions, or two systems of expressions. If we want to write this one, so this one here as a matrix, we can say that these x values, it's -1 and 4, and 1 and -3. So these are the coefficients here, and this would be the x and this would be the y. Now consider if we want to find the magnitude of this system here. What we can say is we'll call it system B, or matrix B, and we'll say matrix B equals -1 over 4, 1 and -3, and then we'll say the magnitude. So the magnitude of this system is, writing the brackets like this, -1, 1, 4 and -3. And then notice what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this term and this term here together. So in red, we're going to multiply these. So this will be -1 times -3. And then I'm going to multiply this one and this one, taking away from the first ones. So that will be -4 times 1. Evaluating this expression, we get 3 minus 4, and thus the magnitude of this matrix here, or this system up here, is going to be -1. Now going on to another example. So over in this purple example, we've got 5 plus 2, so that's our first expression, then 3 minus b, 3a minus b, which is our second expression. So we can write this out as, we'll say 5, 3, 2, negative 1, and adding in the variables A and B. So if we multiply these two matrices together, we get this system of expressions up here. Now we'll call this matrix C, and we'll write it as 5, 3, 2, negative 1. And then we're going to say the magnitude of C is going to be 5 times negative 1 minus 3 times 2. And this will evaluate to negative 5 minus 6. And that will be, so the magnitude of C, matrix C, is going to be negative 11. So in summary, what we learned in this video is how we can calculate the determinant of a 2 by 2 matrix.